Welcome to Strange But True. Take a breath, slow down, and listen carefully. Some stories are documented, some are debated, some refuse to be explained. We tell you the stories. You decide what's true. Now, let's begin our journey. In the late 18th century, European mapmakers were racing to complete the last unknown regions of the world. Coastlines were being measured, rivers traced, and mountain ranges engraved into atlases that would guide exploration for generations. One of those maps marked a place that no expedition would ever reach again. The place was known as the Mountains of Kong, a mountain range first mapped in 1798 by British cartographer James Rennell. The chart was not a rumor or a traveler's sketch. It was formally engraved and published in major European atlases. The range appeared with a name and a long east-west span, placed among other verified geographic features, but no surviving expedition record confirms that anyone ever stood on those mountains. The map entered circulation in the early 1800s and was reproduced for decades. It was used by navigators, scholars, and colonial administrators. Its authority was never publicly questioned. Within a decade of its publication, multiple expeditions attempted to locate the Mountains of Kong. Each followed the same mapped region. Each reported the same result. They found nothing. Not a mountain range, not foothills, not elevated terrain. The most well-documented attempt was led by French explorer Louis-Gustave Binget in the 1880s, who crossed the exact region where the range was supposed to exist and found no mountains at all, and no official correction was issued. Instead, the Mountains of Kong continued to appear on maps for nearly a century. Sometimes their position shifted slightly between editions, as if cartographers were adjusting their placement without ever confirming their existence. What made this unusual was not just that the mountains could not be found. It was that no documentation explained how they had been mapped in the first place. There was no original survey report, no captain's journal, no navigation log, only the maps themselves. By the mid-1800s, the Mountains of Kong had become a known cartographic anomaly. Explorers questioned them. Surveyors quietly avoided them. But still, they stayed printed. Then something changed. Between two editions of the same major atlases, published less than 10 years apart, the Mountains of Kong simply disappeared. No footnote was added, no erratum was printed, no formal announcement was made to any navigational institution. By the early 20th century, the Mountains of Kong were quietly removed from European maps without any formal correction notice. At first, this seemed like a routine cartographic update, but in this case, no expedition had ever confirmed the mountains in the first place, which meant there was no documented discovery to retract and no documented mistake to correct. The removal was silent. Naval records from the period show no official follow-up expedition ordered to verify the region again after the mountains disappeared from maps. There was no institutional review, only the quiet erasure from geography. What remains today are the surviving copies of those earlier maps. In libraries and museums, the Mountains of Kong still exist on paper, but no modern atlas acknowledges them. Modern satellite imagery shows no mountain range in that region, and no geological record supports the idea that a massive range once existed there and later vanished, which leaves an unresolved question. How did a mountain range that never existed make its way into authoritative maps? And why was it removed without explanation? Historians have proposed three documented possibilities. The first is a transcription error, a misread river system or plateau copied forward without verification. The second is a navigational illusion, distant clouds or atmospheric distortion mistaken for high terrain. The third is an undocumented source, a survey or report that once existed, was used by a Rennell, and later lost to time. None of these explanations appear in any official institutional record. The mountains of Kong were never declared fictional. They were simply removed. Today, historians classify them as a phantom mountain range, a geographic feature that lived briefly in official reality before being quietly erased. They left behind no ruins, only ink on old paper, and a question that no archive answers. History has a way of hiding the truth inside what it chooses not to explain. Inside tales, inside myths, inside legends, inside things that feel just a little off. If this story held your attention, subscribe to Strange But True, because sometimes what sounds unbelievable is exactly where the truth hides.